ideally, as leaders or practice owners or whatever it might be, we have an opportunity to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary and create positive experiences we're sharing for every single person that we come into contact with.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Dental Office Managers Community Podcast, where we talk about the issues that matter most and help us to become better leaders in our dental practice. I'm your host, Kyle Summerford. Let's dive right in. Hey guys, it's Kyle, and welcome back to another episode of the Dental Office Managers Community Podcast. I am so happy today because we have Ryan Vett, who is the leader of the Speaking Consulting Network, with us today. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on here today with us.
Kyle, thanks so much for having me.
Yes. So, Ryan, you and I had filmed a podcast back at the Speaking Consulting Network meeting. And so that episode will be airing soon in our community. So for any of our dental office managers or, business owners in the dental space, I encourage you guys to keep an eye out for that video. You're going to learn a little bit more about SCN and how it can benefit you in your leadership roles. But today we are going to talk about these cool little cards called Be Extra that Ryan Vett has created. So Ryan, give us a little bit more about these cool cards.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Kyle said, these are the Be Extra cards. But before we get there, I'd love to back up a little bit. One of my life goals, and one of the things I love doing and I'm super passionate about, is creating experiences worth sharing. Because every single day, you and I have ordinary encounters, and most of the time, they're not worth talking about. Occasionally, we have extraordinary ones that are negative and get those pesky 1-star reviews. But ideally, as leaders or practice owners or whatever it might be, we have an opportunity to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary and create positive experiences we're sharing for every single person that we come into contact with. So over the years, I've had quite a few portfolio companies, of which some have been coffee shops, wine bars, and hospitality oriented businesses. And we're always trying to train our team members at those locations. In my portfolio companies, we're always trying to train them to create positive experiences worth sharing. And that's became this high and lofty idea. And it's so powerful because 1.6 trillion with a T trillion dollars last year, according to Forbes, what cost American businesses because of bad experiences. So that means, like,
Wow.
if you were Verizon, switch to T-Mobile, or if you were Spectrum and switch to Comcast, or you were at one dental office and went to the one down the road. $1.6 trillion was the total amount of money lost in U.S. businesses last year, according to Forbes, because of poor experiences. So this is a big deal. It's a super big deal. And so I tried to take that lofty concept of creating experiences worth sharing and really distill it down into one little box that can be really easy for team members, whether it's a coffee shop or whether it's a hotel or a dental office or optometry, whatever it is, to be able to start creating extraordinary experiences right where they are.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that fact. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
But I do believe it, right? Because experience is everything. And so, you know, um, if the experience isn't right, like you said, the reviews will not be so great. I've worked in practices where, the dentistry wasn't great quality. And so along with that came a bad experience. But
Right.
yeah, wow, that's an interesting fact. So thanks for sharing that. And
Absolutely.
so the inspiration behind these cards, tell us a little bit, what is the purpose, right? How can we use
Yeah.
these? How can we
So I'll go
benefit?
ahead and pull out my little box here. And then there's instruction cards and gives a little bit of the backstory, but they're 4 different color cards that correlate with the XTRA. And for those of you who are type A, I know the fact that extra starts with an X is just painful to you. So I apologize because it bothers me too. But basically, they stand for 3 things. Experience is the X, T is the transform, R is reinforce, and A is amaze. And each one of those cards with a different color provides you with a different encounter. So experience is all about listening. You have to listen and understand your customer, in this case, the patient experience. T is the green cards are taking that and applying whatever you've learned to the customer experience. R, I think this is a huge one, especially in morning huddles or anything else. R is this idea of reinforcing. So when something went well, are you making sure that you praise your team for it, and also understanding what they did that went so well that a customer decided to give you a 5-star review or whatever it might be. And finally, I think while reinforce might be the most important, I think amaze is my favorite. I travel a good bit. I'm on at least a plane or two every single week. Million miler with Delta, and I fly Delta primarily because of the experience. Even if it costs me a connection, right? And I have to connect between Atlanta, which is where I spend a lot of my time. But the reason is I know if something goes wrong, Delta's got my back. And I have, if you've ever heard me lecture, or you read any of my books or anything, you've seen all of the stories I share of Delta alone. And everyone's like, "Do you get paid by Delta?" It's like, no, I pay them about $30,000 a year for the privilege to sit on their airplanes.
Yeah.
But it's amazing because they find those ordinary opportunities, whether it's a handwritten note on a card, whether I flew on my birthday and they had a birthday card for me because they knew it was my birthday, like just silly stuff like that. It's taking the ordinary and transforming it to the extraordinary. So that's the four meanings behind the four different color cards.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sending these over. I started skimming through them and I really started thinking, I'm like, I got to use these in the practice. So
Yeah.
I did take a little bit of time to kind of go through some of these experience cards. And I
Yep.
was like, this is spot on. I can definitely use this one in the practice like tomorrow based on something that actually had occurred in the practice. And I was like, this is
Okay.
perfect because we just went through this and the
Yeah.
scenario um was like spot on where we have to sit down and we now have to like strategize and be like, okay, what can we do to improve this area? What do
Yeah.
we have to do? And so, yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to maybe kind of share this with the community where we can maybe run through one of these and just kind of like do a
Yeah.
demo, so to speak.
Yeah. Do you want to pick which category do you want to pick?
I would like to do, let's choose the blue category.
Okay, so experience. So the ones we're asking our guests, our patients, our clients. So
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay. So we have here this is one of the questions in that blue category and it says, what's one interaction with our brand that left a lasting impression on you?
I happen to just sort through that same one. Look at that.
Ah.
There we go. It's like you're a magician or something. So the way you could use this is great. And one of the things I love about this card is we get stuck in a rut doing the same thing. We go sit behind the desk, answer the phone. We get in our rhythms that we don't slow down to think about what's extraordinary to somebody else. So, you can ask your patients when they come in, if this is your question of the day and you're either the front office team, or even if you're the hygienist assistant or dentist, hey, what's one interaction that you've had with, I'll sub brand for practice. What's one interaction that you've had with our practice that's made a lasting impact on you? And the things that they say might be extraordinary. The fact that you walk them from the chair up to checkout and you don't just send them to walk down that long, ominous hall. And so a lot of times the things that you do every day might actually be extraordinary. And this just helps you kind of get grounded and reset. So love that card. Good
Yeah,
pick.
I could see how also, it's kind of like a acknowledgement, right? Because we
Yep.
can we can actually discuss it in the morning huddle, and we could say, well, this is what the experience was, and thank you, team member, for really doing your part, and kind of getting that momentum going between the group, where everyone's like, okay, that's what I should do.
Yep.
But yeah, I love this card. Moving on to the yellow category. I think I jumped ahead here,
Amaze.
but
You did, but that's all right. I love it. Amaze.
so we have, how can I tailor a service or product in a subtle way that delights a customer based on a hobby or interest they've shared?
This is a good one, and this one makes you think. It really
Yeah.
takes the person um from just another patient, another number, another whatever it might be, to someone that can become a raving fan. And so this is now really where the team has to reflect and think about specific patients in your morning huddle. You know who's coming, and things that you can do. I've heard so many stories here. One of my favorites was during COVID at one of my coffee shops. One of our team members noticed the same woman walking by every single day with a dog,
Mm.
and got to talk through her through the windows, huge spacing during that time. And he ended up, this combines two cards, but he ended up realizing how she liked dogs and superheroes. So he was an
Mm.
artist and would draw on her cup every single day a picture of her dog in a superhero cape. Um, Another one I can think of, even at a practice that I've worked with, the patient always commented on how they couldn't eat a certain food because they were missing several teeth, and after they'd gotten some implants, they had that waiting for them. So there's all sorts of things that if you get to know your patients well enough, think about
Yeah.
how extraordinary that is. They're going to tell everybody about it. It's the best marketing you could ever have.
Yeah, it really like stirs up like brainstorming, right? I feel like I was reading through some of them and I'm like, wow, this is we kind of take it for granted, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's also because in the dental practice we're like we're working, right? We're not like sitting down and huddling and kind of like getting deeper thoughts about things. And I feel like that's what these cards really do. They help to
yeah,
kind of like trigger that like deeper thought to create that emotional connection with patients, which I believe emotional connections are what really help fuel the experience, you know?
absolutely,
Um,
100%.
but yeah, all right, let's maybe we could do one more. We have time for one
Yeah, go
more.
for
Yeah.
it.
All right. So we did the yellow, and I just pulled out a red.
Okay.
All right, so we have the red one here. It says, "What simple act of kindness did we perform for a customer that I can immediately acknowledge and thank them for?" Wow.
Hmm. Yep. What simple act of kindness did we, the team, perform for a customer, in this case, patient, that I can immediately acknowledge and thank that team member for? I think, again, reinforce is, I said amaze is my favorite, but reinforce is probably the most important. Our team members are doing things every single day that we might not acknowledge well. I think a perfect example was, um, one of the things we first train a lot of our team members on at some of our physical locations is how to clean the bathroom. And we show that the manager or the leader is willing to clean the bathroom and demonstrate how it's done. The learn, do, teach, the medical school type thing. But anyway, one of the most extraordinary examples I have of reinforcing with this particular card was a brand new team member. Their first or second day on the job at one of my physical locations of one of my portfolio companies. He was young, 16, 17, just barely old enough to work. And the manager caught him scrubbing out the urinals because someone
Hmm.
had kind of made a mess of them. And he did it without prompting and all of that. Well, the manager went on to the next morning in the huddle, make a huge deal. Like, hey, here was someone new that had extra time, and they went and did the unthinkable job, not because they were asked to, but because they took initiative. So again, just praising those things, it creates a culture and really can positively influence your practice's DNA.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Um, Taking a moment to like thank people, right? That's
Yeah.
it- again, I don't want this to sound like it's an excuse, right? Because I mean, I get busy too and I forget to thank team members, but it gives you that moment to kind of reflect and like acknowledge that person for going the extra step. I mean, I
Yeah,
love it. And
absolutely.
there goes that emotional connection again, right?
Yep.
It's like, hey,
Absolutely.
let's acknowledge you. You took the extra step. And I feel like, I mean, you're kind of an expert on leadership. I shouldn't say you're kinda, you are an expert on leadership in my opinion.
Thank you.
So I think, these cards not only, you know, they help, right, in these different like aspects, but they also kind of help to maybe show leadership, right? Like if, for example,
Yeah.
like the office manager can basically say, "Hey, look, this is what we're going to do today, and these
Yep.
are the cards that we're going to use." So you tell me, Ryan, like, is this good for building leadership character?
Absolutely. Well, I think you said something interesting just a moment ago. These aren't necessarily novel ideas. Some of them might be, but the reality is we just need reminders. We need reminders every
Mm,
single day to do the things that we do anyway. And so these, the box I designed to sit upright on a desk, it sits just like that. So it always reminds you to be extra. So you can have that wherever it is and just pull a card out easily. But as a leader, if your goal and your vision in your practice is to really cultivate positive experiences for your patients, which is ultimately what's going to grow your practice, right? The landscape of dentistry is becoming more and more competitive, and you can do all the SEO and Google AdWords and have the coolest website, and that's fine. If you get them to your practice and they have a terrible experience, guess what? You have a new patient exam, and that's the first and last time you hear from that person. But if you cultivate an extraordinary experience, they're going to come back. And not only do they come back, they're going to tell others. And so, from a leadership perspective, yes, as a leader, you should always be infusing culture and into your DNA and setting that up as a priority. But I think some of the other things that hopefully I give in these cards is the reinforce category and the transform category. Transforming is taking what you're doing and making it better, and then the reinforce is encouraging and promoting your team member. It influences every aspect of your culture to hopefully cultivate a practice that loves creating those positive experiences.
Yeah, thanks for answering that. That's yeah. I have no words, Ryan. So, I mean, these cards are awesome. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I think, you know, I definitely am going to use these in the practice. Like I said, um, this is something that we don't do, and I'm honest. I'm an office manager myself, but hey, look, I'm the first one to admit, like, all right, I don't do this. I should do this, but I don't. And I like, again, the way it kind of connects everyone on a deeper level of thought. And
Yeah.
again, like, we're busy in the practice. We don't really, we're working all day. We're kind of like, rushing through the day. Hey, 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 what time is it? Well, man, we're here. Well, now we're past an hour. We should have left an hour ago. But, you have to have that moment to reflect and really kind of review things with your team to build that development. And my question, Ryan. So you were able to send me a set, and you also had said that you would be willing to create like a co-branded special offer for members of our community.
Absolutely.
So my question is, how do the members? Sorry, you know what? Let me scratch that. Ryan, with the co-branded special deal for members of our community, what is it that the promotion is going to be?
Yeah, so I'll put the QR code up here. And Kyle, you drive a hard bargain. You got your members a really good deal. The best price I've offered them at, it's about 20% off as well as free shipping. So it's a double whammy there. You're getting a discount, and these will be delivered right to your practice or wherever you want. And again, they're a great tool. Don't be part of that $1.6 trillion number of bad customer experience or bad patient experience. These are, again, simple reminders. There's 60 of them. So if you did one a day of your working day, that's about 3 to 4 months of cards if you just cycle through one a day. And you can cycle through them probably a total of 3-ish times a year. And they just continually remind you and make you think differently, which is sometimes what we need to do to break out of the monotony of doing the same thing and providing ordinary experiences.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We do need to break to break bad habits, or just start, taking on new habits, right? New, good,
Right.
healthy habits. And I feel like these cards definitely can accomplish that. So, Ryan, thanks so much for the special offer for the members of our community, as well as sending me a little box here that I'm going to start using with my team back at the practice. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on here. And Ryan, our video will be airing soon. Again, members of our community, definitely keep an eye out for it. I will make an announcement in the group. Ryan Vett, leader of Speaking Consulting Network. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kyle.